Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
Welcome to the Stroke of Genius podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Avila. I'm 12 years brain aneurysm and stroke survivor. I've got a guest for you today, Richard Cooks.
As a sergeant in the military, Richard D. Cook Sr. fought for his country for over 30 years. He served all across the world in places such as Italy, the Hawaiian Islands, and Haiti. During his service, he managed to build a family and launch a career in the entertainment industry, hosting a weekly radio show while representing models and actors. But Sergeant Cook's greatest battle occurred far after he returned from overseas. Out of the blue, an undetected tumor in his heart caused a massive stroke and required emergency surgery. While Sergeant Cook survived, he suffered substantial brain damage that led to vision loss, body weakness, and aphasia. This marked the beginning of an enlightening journey to beat the odds and rediscover himself. Whether you're a veteran, a stroke survivor, or a lover of great American stories, reading Sergeant Cook's memoir will inspire you to never stop reaching your goals.
He is going to share a story, and boy, what a story this will be. Richard Cook, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I was reading your bio earlier, and quite impressive, bro. And you're still helping veterans to this day. And, first of all, I want to say thank you for serving your country.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Richard, please just have your way. Just tell your story. Tell me a little bit about yourself and then what happened, what you're doing, and tell me about yourself.
Okay. Anyways, for over 33 years, I was serving this country in the U.S. Army. So far, I've done that. And then I end up doing a few other things after retiring from the Army, which I ended up working at the Veterans Hospital here in West Los Angeles. But I was then working in the department for payroll. But then I got promoted as the chief of payroll. So I was in charge of the other staff right there for payroll operations and always helping other people within the VA system who were working there with their payroll conditions that may maybe be misunderstood why their pay is all wrong or so. But we had to go and work those out to where we made all the veterans and also those who were working for the VA happy because their payroll was accurate.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you a little bit about your stroke. So if I remember correctly, you had 3 or 4 strokes.
Yeah, 3 strokes.
Now, before you had your first stroke, did you have any warning signs that you were about to have a stroke?
Be honest with you, I didn't know any of the warning signs, although there were warning signs, but I didn't know the warning signs until later. I was taught for what I go to every 2 weeks, which is our stroke survivor sessions in regards to be able to identify strokes. So anyways, what had happened was one day in 2016, I was told my dizziness. Also, I had red blotches on my left hand, which were red blotches, and then there was the white blotches right around it. So that was kind of odd. And my blood pressure was high as well at that point. And the doctors were trying to wonder why is this always. I said, I don't know. I'm just doing what I'm doing, and I don't know. So the thing is, in February 2016, I was also said I could be having vertigo because I was feeling extremely dizzy.
Oh, vertigo. Okay.
Yeah. But then it turned out I had a major stroke in February 2016. Then it kind of passed, so I didn't have a TIA, transient ischemic stroke. I had a vertigo, I mean, I was told at first it was vertigo, then they determined it was more of a major stroke. And then that kind of passed, and then I was just going to go pay my phone bill in June 2016, and I couldn't even push the door open. It's one of the doors that go in and out. I couldn't pull it or I couldn't push it for some reason. And people around me at that point in time, because I was just paying the phone bill, they thought I was drunk. They
Oh
actually,
my
they
God.
actually, they actually came out and told me you're drunk. I said, no, I don't drink. And what happened at that point? Then they called 911, and the police came out. Then the police also followed up by calling an ambulance, and they couldn't determine anything either, uh, because I was just out there, and I guess seeming very still very drunk looking. Okay, but I keep telling them I don't drink, and that's when the ambulance showed up. Paramedics got out and examined me and said, I think he's on the verge of having a stroke. But I didn't realize it was going to be a massive stroke. It was just they thought it was going to be a stroke, so they took me to the closest hospital in my area at that time, which was the Little Company of Mary, and went there, which is in Torrance, and then went there, and that's when they told me you're having a massive stroke.
Wow. So, if I understand you correctly, when the cops arrived, they thought you were also drunk.
Yes,
And so there's a little bit of time delay from when they called the ambulance, but the ambulance finally came and took you away to the hospital.
right.
So I'm getting curious. You said major. So before you had two strokes, smaller strokes prior to this, right?
Right, correct.
So now you're in your third one, and this one is gonna pretty major. Did you lose? You obviously lost your ability of control. You couldn't open a simple door.
Right.
You were able to stand though, correct?
I was able to stand at that point, but then later on, with the effects from the massive stroke, my third stroke happened shortly after the massive stroke, which was a stroke that affected my left eye. I'll put it this way: people, when they see me, they don't see any problem with my left eye. But I said it's because my retina is damaged and the brain is damaged where I can't see it on my left eye. So I'm blind in my left eye. And where I went to be more examined, they did a special way they do it with their imaging, and they said no, you're blind in your left eye. So,
Wow.
but the things that's what happened. But people who don't know enough about strokes, uh, they always misassume anything, and they already think, oh, you're not blind or so. But that's kind of what you have to go through.
Wow, Richard, I've known you for a few years, and I have seen. I'm going to tell people out there that listen to this on the podcast. There's a condition called aphasia,
Right.
and it's a cruel fish. It's a cruel effect of stroke. But when I first met you, your aphasia was pretty noticeable. But now I can't tell you how it, bro. I really can't tell you how it.
Thank you. I've been working at that by doing a lot of things, even during this pandemic time, to be able to speak as best as I can.
Well, for anybody that has aphasia or knows what aphasia is just the ability to put together words to create a sentence.
Right.
And it affects so many people, and it takes a tremendous amount of work to get rid to tame it.
Right.
And you've done an extremely great job. That's really awesome, bro.
Yeah. Thank you. And also, aphasia does also affect the writing ability, where I don't write very good, and I write. It looks like chicken scratch, which can't be made out, but I can tell what I said, but other people can't tell what I said. So that's still part of the aphasia. It also affects the brain in the respects to writing, but I can still get by in what I'm doing. So what I have to have right now, which I do use, instead of writing something down, I have like uh, calendars to write my appointments down, and then I use those calendars to remember what my next appointment will be. And then also, I also have other methods on working that out in that respects. So that's what aphasia will cause. It will cause to have the inability to speak, which I've been working on that. And I'll tell you how I've been working on it is I watch a lot of game shows and movies. And I have in the beginning repeat the words so that way I get the words out. And so by repeating the words of what I just saw, that's what I was doing.
Well, that's amazing. I'm sorry about that little ring, people. But I forgot to close Facebook. But Richard, there are so many survivors that I meet. They have the stroke and they give up. They stop living. They stop trying to get better. They just live.
Right.
They're waiting to die.
Right.
I would like to say, Richard, you're an example of not giving up, but constantly fighting.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for the people out there listening to this podcast, Richard, in case you missed it before, was a sergeant, not just any sergeant, a drill sergeant in the military. And let me tell you, you don't bleep somebody with the military. Richard was a badass.
Yeah,
And
I was also in Special Forces. I was Special Forces drill sergeant.
oh my goodness. Okay, well, that just scares me a little bit. But
Oh, I'll put it this way. In Special Forces, I had to instruct the soldiers to do what we need to do for physical training, which is usually what's known as PT, not physician assistant or anything like that. It's PT, physical training. And so I always had to do things uh, strength wise to build up their strength because there was a lot of things we had to do, like we had to walk with our rucksacks, and those rucksacks weighed about 75 pounds. So we had to get used to that weight. So we had to build ourselves up. So when the stroke happened to me, they thought at where I was at and for recovery, oh, you need to spend more time with the doctors. I said, no, I know what I need to do. I've been through this before. I said, so I know what I need to do. Well, they didn't believe me at that point. And I said, I know what I need to do. So they finally gave me the release and I started working where I already learned from the stroke doctors that they said it's my neurons in the brain that have to find new pathways, yeah, to be able to operate. So that meant such as my weak side, it meant to where I had to work with my fingers so that way they would work right, which I couldn't operate my fingers before, and I couldn't operate my legs before. So I did a lot of walking so the brain would rebuild the pathways of the neurons so that way it would remember this is what I have to do for my left side and keep myself in strength. But it was more not people always misunderstand the weakness caused from a stroke is a paralyzation. That's what they will assume it as paralyzation. It's not. It's the neurons that are having to build new pathways. So I had to do that.
thanks, let's talk about that's a golden nugget, bro.
Yeah,
That really explains a lot because a lot of people think that weakness in their limbs was
right,
paralyzation, and it's not.
right,
It's the neurons not firing, activating limb. It's different.
right.
But you experience as a drill sergeant and PT instructor came to pay off in this service. Please give the audience maybe some things you did that helped you get better physically.
Well, physically itself too, what I still continue to because it's stuck in my head for years because I've been in there for a long time in the military. Uh, I had to still work on getting my left arm to work because that's the effective side, which I started doing push-ups. So I was doing push-ups, but then I used to do prior to the strokes, do left-handed push-ups.
Wow.
But I couldn't do that anymore once the strokes happened. But now I'm able to go back to doing left-handed push-ups, where it's just my left.
What are you saying you could do a push-up one-handed?
Say again?
You could do a push-up one-handed with your affected hand.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing, bro. I often wonder if being paralyzed, if it's not paralyzation, which I believe is not it too, it's the neuron pathways have been disturbed by the stroke.
Right.
Is exercise the key to rebuilding those neural pathways?
Yes.
And you were able to do that. I can
Right.
when I yeah, because when you and I are talking on video camera, I never see an issue with your yeah. I don't really see an affected side with you.
Yeah, because I had rebuilt that, and also just the other day, which I'm going to do it again this week as well too. I have to select which day will work because of potential rain. I don't want to be in the rain, but I'm going to see which day will be free to do another type of walk. Well, but I did my walk just a few days ago, which I end up walking half a marathon, which is 13.5 miles.
Wow, bro, that is unbelievable, Richard. Amazing. Congratulations. I'm curious, were you in a wheelchair the whole after stroke or were you walking from the beginning?
In the very beginning, I was in a wheelchair for a little bit. Then they put me up into a walker type thing that usually you'll see they're kind of a silver gray type walker. I had something like that. Uh, and the physical therapist started to work with me, which is in the stroke section, started to work with me in that respect. So that way I can build up my walking in that respect. So I had to redo everything from the stroke by physically making myself to be able to walk again. But again, too, I had to take it in short steps, no pun intended, but short steps in regards to letting the neurons rebuild the pathways.
Yeah, you know, I've been in wheelchair for going on 12 years, bro. I need to talk to you a little bit how you were able to rebuild those neural pathways. Because isn't that the gold nugget for every stroke survivor out there? What if you just say, what does it take? If you were to give advice to a newer stroke survivor, what would you tell them to rebuild their left side or right side or their front side? What would you tell them is critical?
Well, just to kind of start things very light in short pathways to build up the neurons
Yeah.
is to take your hand, the affected side, and get a one of the squishy balls, I call them that way, to be able to let it know that it's trying to uh, hold on to and squeeze it, just something like that. Or you can get one of the, um, I forget what it's called, but it's the type that's like a scissors type to squeeze your hand, and that will build up the strength for one, but it will also build up the way the neurons have to rebuild the pathways to remember it's trying to squeeze the fingers. It's a type of thing that you just buy. It's not that expensive, and you squeeze that. And most people use that uh, who have never had strokes, but they use that just to build up their strength in one of their hands like that. So use that. Take everything in a light fashion until it gets built up better. For example, I go to the gym now and I use the weight that's at 8 pounds, but you might have to start with maybe 3 pounds in the very beginning, just so that way the pathways will start to remember you're exercising those arms. And then eventually you can move up to 5 pounds, to 8 pounds, and then you might be able to go even higher. For example, I was able to go higher in weight in the various type of exercise I had to do with this program called the VA Throwdown. That's an exercise level of everything weight wise. Even they had me in the aspects to do dips. And I did about 50 dips in a certain amount of time. And I did those 50 dips and they recorded that. But overall, all the things I was physically able to do, I took the gold medal for it.
Wow, bro, that Richard, that is, I appreciate that that is amazing, really. I'm finding it extremely encouraging. But let's take one minute. I got to play a commercial. Be right back.
Okay.
Let's play commercial.
Fire.
That's the first time I tried reading a commercial because I know people that listen to the podcast can't see it. So what I do is I do an audio only podcast and then I do a video podcast. But you want to get, I'm getting kind of excited and pumped and ready to go and do my therapy, hearing you progress. But one of your advice was take it one step at a time. Start with 3 pounds, 4 pounds, 5 pounds, 8 pounds, then add it. But you did what you could. How
Right.
often would you work out? I'm curious. How often would you do your home therapy?
Well, I work out usually every 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I do the walking. Then Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I do things for weightlifting.
Ooh,
But it's
I-
only at the level of weights that we'll be able to do in regards to the rebuilding of the brain.
I'm wondering. So I think if I got my wife to strap a 2 pound weight into my left hand, which really cannot grab right now, and get her to strap it in, would it be better? Maybe it's better to start out with the squishy ball.
Yes, a squishy ball first, and then there's different levels of squishy balls that will fit in your palm, and that way it will build up the areas of strength in your weak side from your stroke.
I know it sounds so basic. I've been a stroke survivor now. I'm a professional stroke survivor for 12 years. And really talking to you is put into a doable increments. A lot of us, stroke survivors want to like our life to be back to them, but it's not. It's not go back to what it is, but it takes a progression. It takes us baby steps. Next thing by walking.
Yeah, just always baby steps, nothing too exerting, just to build up the memory of the brain. And then later on, you can build up more strength by building up the strength part of which is needed for your body to build yourself up.
Yeah, I found it really encouraging how you break up the that your home therapy puts you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Um you do one type of therapy, then Tuesday, Thursday do another.
Right.
I'm Rich. I'm gonna start doing that. That's some really good advice because right now I'm trying to do myself. I try to do about 30 minutes of cardio. I do walking with my reel, and then I do a legless squats. But I really need to work on my writing too, so I can work on my writing on Tuesday, Thursdays, like I said, and do my cardio stuff on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Right. Yeah. Also, what I had to do as well to build up stuff, I had practiced even sprinting. Now I can sprint now.
Now, could you repeat that? Cause I have a hearing deficit. I couldn't really hear you. Say it again.
I can sprint now, which I've been working on sprinting because of
Whoa.
the leg movements so I can sprint. Well, I used to do the 40-yard sprint. I can do that now.
But that is amazing. That is amazing.
Like I'm
A
a
lot
sprinter.
of a lot of strokes have obviously want to go from the wheelchair to sprinting, but that is not the way you did it. You took your steps. Now you
Right.
sprint. Now, what type of when you start working out and where you're at today? What is that time frame?
Well, time frame. Technically, I started doing this when my strokes happened in 2016. Now it's 2022. It's going to take me that length of time to get this far.
All right, I'm not sure what you do, but I can hear that. I don't know what that is. But you know, bro, I think we're almost, believe it or not, I forgot to meet again because I've enjoyed this thoroughly. But what would you say? First of all, what would you say to a new stroke survivor right now? Say they set the stroke, then now they think their life is over. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say it's not over. That's why I was able to do everything because I knew what I needed to do because of what I'd done in the military. So I'm not saying everybody has to join the military. I'm just saying that I could have thought of that being it's all over, but I didn't say that to myself. I said it's not over till it's over, and it's not over yet. So that's what I did. So that's why I also had a philosophy. It's not a race, it's a journey to succeed and achieve. So that's why I tell people it's a race. It's not a race, it's a journey to succeed and achieve. So that way they know it's just something that they still have to work on. And it may take time. It's not happening very fast. And some people think, oh, I should have done this because I should have had this ready because it's only been 2 months. It doesn't happen that fast. It's however the body, the neurons will see and take the pathways.
Wow, that what advice. Listen to that golden nugget Richard just said. And I want audience, I want you to listen to that. It's
Yeah,
time. Oh, your life is not over till you say it is.
right,
You know, it's up to our choice.
right, exactly.
Amazing. Well, Richard, I wanted to give time for you to give a shout out to your boys at the VA because, first of all, thank you for the service. Second of all, give them a shout out on the VA, would you?
Okay, yeah, thank you. To everybody who's a veteran at the VA hospitals all over the country and the world, I want to give everybody a shout out to what's going on. And that way you will know who are also stroke survivors because there are veterans I've sat with at the VA hospital who are stroke survivors. It's something you have to work on, but you'll be able to succeed by keeping an open mind. So always remember it's something that will be workable for the right direction. You just have to put your mind to that point and never think of it negative. Think of it in a positive way.
Well, thank you so much for that, Richard. That was touching. But we're down to believe it or not. I told you, I mean, 30 minutes ago by quick. We're pretty much on the bend of our podcast. But I would like to thank our sponsors of this show, our sponsors of C Network, Jeff Bezos, C Network, Segway, and Stir TV. Segway is a CRM that is done a CEO, managed by CEO Pete Romano. It's amazing. But Richard and Stir TV. Richard, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on here.
All right. Thank you, Richard. I'll talk to you when we're done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll let you go. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.